So I just want to ask about this memoir, which I've heard a few pieces of, and I really do feel like I know Meme, like I
Mm.
know your grandmother. I feel so intimately connected to her just from having heard these pieces. And I wanted to ask you, did you start out knowing what the focus would be, or did you write a little bit? And if you just sort of started writing a little bit, I am curious if you don't mind share. If this is too much, you don't have to
Mm-mm.
share it with us, but
No,
I'm very
I'm an
curious to
open
know
book, Roland.
what was the very first thing that you wrote on this topic, if you could tell
One
us
of
that.
the stories that I will read today is one of the first stories
Oh,
that I wrote, which is called Figures. And I just wrote it as a short story, no intention to write a book. After I had seen my grandmother and this incident occurred between us, about her seeing these black figures in the trees and pointing them out to me. She lived in an apartment at my parents' house, and she was just starting to go into Alzheimer's in a sort of troubling way. She was starting to be frightened, and it was so remarkable. It was a metaphor about death, and
mm-hmm,
I will apologize right now because I get choked up when I talk about her still, and she's been gone for a
mm-hmm,
long time. But
mm-hmm.
so I think that just I was so captivated by it, and it just stayed with me. And as soon as I got home from her place, I wrote it down. Um, and I also felt like it was her seeing her own death, but she didn't really understand that. So that was very, uh, I don't know, it was sort of
When
comforting, but yet also I could tell she was starting to go in a fearful place for her Alzheimer's. And that was, um, I just hoped she wouldn't last long in that phase because mirrors, she couldn't look in mirrors without seeing whole worlds in them. That really made her very, very anxious. So
right,
there was a
scary.
lot going on. Hmm.
When you say you ran home and you just wrote it down quickly, so you wrote down sort of a rough sketch or an outline, or did you just jot down certain things that you thought were most like potent and important, or did you write
I've
like you were
always
really
written in
writing?
dialogue. Even in
Oh,
second grade, my notebooks from my diary are dialogue and then a little bit of exposition. And so it was trying to capture the sound of her voice that was
yeah,
so embedded in my head. And I've just also had this thing about uh, really understanding how precious things are while they're going on. Like I knew even years before she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I just was always cognizant that this wasn't going to last, and it was such an important relationship to me. And so I was just always fully immersed in the moment with her because she was so loving, and
right.
she just adored me, and that was just it was such a state of it was sublime. It was a sublime place to exist in her presence.
And it also, one thing that comes out too is the difference between your relationship, the distinction between your relationship with her and your relationship with your mother, right? You know?
Mm. Yes.
So I think, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, was that something that you were conscious of trying to bring out, or did it just sort of find its way in naturally as you were writing? Like that, because that seems very vivid too in the piece, you know?
It is vivid because, in retrospect, not at the time of writing it, there was so much conflict with my mother over my grandmother and my relationship. My mother was
Right.
jealous of it.
She was
And then,
envious. Yeah, yeah.
yes, and then when my mother took my grandmother in, I wasn't as appreciative as I was supposed to be, and bowing down to my mother's, you know, greatness and lovely spirit and being so giving. Uh, I didn't really understand the depths of the caretaking that was required. So that was a mistake on my part. But at that point, I was just beginning to learn that or understand my mother's personality, and later realized, much later than everybody else had already known, that she's a narcissist, and that
Right.
my mother always had her eye on me. And so that threesome, it was always this purity of love and, ease between my grandmother and I, my mother's mother, and just my mother and I were antagonistic, and there was a lot of yuck between us,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
there are no words for what it was. Just very toxic, and it was exacerbated by um, my mother suddenly having control of my grandmother's time and her space, and she never really let us be alone.
Right.
She was
Right.
always coming in the room for something, or coming upstairs into the apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and so it
Um,
was tricky.
there's also another sort of theme here, which I think is related to that, which is kind of like coming into a comfort with your own self, like getting comfortable with yourself. And she seems like she was a catalyst, your grandmother, to that
Mm,
in a way. Can you talk a little bit about that, maybe? Or if you don't want to talk about it, maybe we could read the first piece and then we could
yeah,
have more questions. I don't know. It's up to you.
sure. I will just say, for anybody that has been loved well, and I know unconditional is an
Mm,
odd word because there's always conditions. I'm not,
mm,
a Pollyanna about that, but as close as one could get to it being an unconditional love, if you have ever experienced that, your soul soars. You just have a sense of, I'm that good. I'm that pure.
mm-hmm.
I'm that worth it. I'm adored. And I was adored. So that's what she gave me without even trying. She just loved me. So, and I
And you
just was
feel it.
so
I
lucky.
feel it when I read it too. I feel it like in the pages. It's
Hmm.
beautiful. Can you read the first one? Do you mind? Is that,
Yes,
can
I
we?
will read the
Okay.
first one.
Thanks. Thank you.
This is called the Vidalia Club. The Vidalias are in, sweetheart. The announcement slips around my grandmother's mouth like a hard tangerine candy, clicking against her false teeth into the phone. It's club code for come for dinner. It's Wednesday. Don't forget to pick up my papers on your way over. See you soon, darling. I wait, awkwardly empty handed in the midweek lines at Shop and Save until I can get to the racks of the shameless monthlies that my my maternal grandmother, calls her papers. I shell out the $3 that Meme had given me earlier in the week, while the clerk, who I went to high school with, visibly snickers. I used to buy dozens of unnecessary grocery items to disguise the true mission of my errand. When my utensil drawer was overflowing with melon ballers, pastry brushes, funnels in all sizes, and I do mean all sizes, I decided to brave the local gossip and come clean. Today, I placed the Globe and the National Enquirer on the conveyor belt all by themselves. I stand tall and proud, a warrior woman with a penchant for Hollywood gossip and giant babies born singing Christmas carols. Meme and I are as addicted to our own inquiring minds as we are to vegetable worship. So we started the Vidalia Club. Each year, without fail, we pay homage to the prized Georgia onion by meeting at Meme's trailer for boiled dinner and the National Enquirer crossword puzzle. At each meeting, we also honor our local favorite, the Maine potato. Not long after Grandpa died, Meme pulled me aside with a confession. I anticipated a drug problem, or worse, a lover. Don't tell your mother. But sometimes I just bake myself a potato for dinner, not another thing. And darling, I don't care if it's not balanced. To me, it's the perfect meal. I stood up, said my name, and confessed to my own suppers consisting of the one unbalanced potato weighted with butter and salt and pepper. Our commitment to the potato alone is undaunted, but tonight, the Vidalias are in. Meme's trailer will reek of cabbage and onions and kielbasa. Our family tradition mandates the round smoothness of the Polish sausage because it rolls smokily around your mouth before you pop it with your incisors. We leave the corned beef for the Irish. When I pull into Meme's driveway, the trailer windows are boarded up with steam. I'm just in time. The metal door opens before I reach the top step. Perfect timing, darling. The potatoes are golden brown. Meme has taken to wearing blue jeans and white Reebok sneakers. Oh, I love you in those jeans and sneakers. So cute, I greet her. She hugs me and asks, do you have the stuff? I hand over the tabloid literature. Good job, sweetheart. Now set the table real quick, would you? She skims the distance between the door and her beloved pressure cooker. The trip is not a long one in her old mobile home, a home that wasn't ever going anywhere again. My dad had pounded it into place with a beautiful green wooden frame and a shingled roof. Sometimes when you drove up Meeting House Road with the sun just right and a little imagination on the horizon, the trailer almost looked like a ranch-style house. Inside, yellow light poking around smoke-colored globes, replete with gold swiggles, revealed brown contact paper wainscoting, beige plastic molding, daisy-shaped appointments, and dotted pressboard ceilings, grayed like Meme's hair. I head toward the cupboard with faux burnished brass hardware. The counter's rippling linoleum is being held down by 4 3-pound mesh bags of Vidalia onions. I hope you don't run out, Meme, I tease. Not a chance, darling. There are 2 more bags in the veggie bin, she reassures me, missing the joke completely. Vidalia acquisition is serious business. They are only in season for so long. I breathe through my mouth as I bend down to open the cupboard. I move swiftly in my search for the paper napkins, trying to avoid odd, undefinable blackish lumps, which could be mice slowly dying in their traps. Meme is skillful at setting traps and subsequently fills her lower cupboards with the tiny wooden torture devices. What Meme lacks is follow-through. Most often, the tiny animals die a slow, painful death. If they're lucky and go out quickly, their rotting stench permeates the small kitchen while Meme waits for my dad to come by to get rid of them. I grab the napkins, quickly shut up the cupboard, and take a huge breath through my nose. No mice. Meme has been waging a one-woman war on rodents since my grandfather's death 10 years ago. She loathes the furry pests who scurry into her toasty trailer in the fall. Her hatred doesn't stop at mice and moles. She hates squirrels with a vengeance. She always speaks of them as if they could carry off one of her grandchildren or tear her from limb to limb with their ferocious nibbling teeth. Remember that squirrel you declared war on, Meme? Oh, can you really believe that I did that, honey? Your grandfather would have fallen off his couch, she laughs, steam licking her top lip. She lugs the pressure cooker to the sink and dumps the contents into a bent-up old colander. The smell of perfectly mingled meat, potatoes, and vegetables assaults my gnawing stomach. Meme spoons out heaping helpings of boiled dinner onto the blue leaf Corningware dishes. Because Meme worked for years for the radio components department at Corning, she gets a big discount on dishware. None of us Bucher girls has a Pyrex desire that hasn't been met. Meme has seen to that. Why did you used to grease the rope around the bird feeder? I love making her tell this story. Lord, I used a whole one of those big tubs of Vaseline. I guess I got carried away, but damn it, I was mad. That squirrel shouldn't have taken seed out of the mouths of birds. He had plenty of acorns. Vaseline doesn't seem as carried away as a 22, Meme. Whatever possessed you to get out that rifle? I ask, but I know the answer. Well, sweetheart, I watched that damn squirrel practically dance over that greasy rope to the feeder. He started eating the suet that I just put out. Suet is for birds. Everybody knows. Oh, I was so frustrated. I realized right then and there that that squirrel would stop at nothing. He would eat anything I put out for my birds, anything. And my birds, my beautiful birds, especially that red cardinal, your grandfather, would never come around again. Certainly not with the smell of Mr. Furball lingering on the Vaseline rope. Meme sputters as she serves dinner and takes her seat. Simultaneously, we lean our faces over the steaming plates, breathe deep, and shut our eyes. Dig in, darling, Meme instructs happily. It's customary to moan through our first few bites. I hastily swallow a huge piece of potato that gets stuck in my throat like a jawbreaker. My moans become strangled gulps. I clamber to the cupboard for a glass and rush to the tap to get some water before I keel over, killed by a boiled dinner. Oh, honey, get the cold water in the fridge. I turn on the faucet. No, darling, the fridge water. It's cold. Here, I'll get it. She takes the glass from me, leaving my hand free to make the international sign for choking. Now, Meme isn't a bossy woman, but she has her certain ways of doing things that she really prefers, and she prefers it when you're with her that you did those things the same exact way. Like this water she was insisting on, which was only tap water, poured into a glass Tropicana orange juice container and kept in her olive green fridge. I feel my throat get smaller and smaller around the potato as Meme pours me the fridge water she so loves. She never has anything to drink until after her meal. Won't even have it on the table. Finally, the too cold water finally pushes the potato into my stomach. Eat slower, honey. Smaller bites, darling, Meme coos. It's just too good. I get excited. I'm not like you. I really need a beverage with my meal. I know, honey, I know, but it's better for your digestion to drink after your meal. Easy for her to say. I resume the story. Did you load the gun yourself? I ask with my clear air passage. Heavens, yes, sweetie. I wouldn't keep a loaded .22 laying around the house. My luck, a burglar would break in and shoot me between the eyes with my own gun. Your father gave me a case of bullets when he gave me the foolish thing. Oh, honey, to tell you the truth, I get so spooked up here all by my onesies. Your dad thought my having a weapon would make me feel safe. This is new news to me. And did it? I think it was a lovely gesture. Oh, aren't the Vidalias divine, sweetheart? I repeat the club mantra. They are no ordinary onion, that's for sure. Lord, I remember loading that gun. My hands were shaking like a revved up Chevy. But it was easy as pie. There was just one hole the bullet could fit into. And then I went out back, determined to teach that bugger a lesson. I lifted the gun to my shoulder. By now he was in the pine tree, so I thought, good, I'll just aim up into the sky and fire to scare the imp. Well, then I squeezed the trigger and closed my eyes. Your father said a .22 had little to no kick, but I'll tell you what, that gun just about took off my shoulder, and my right ear was ringing something fierce. So I put the gun down to collect myself, and what did I see twitching on the ground in front of me but Mr. Squirrel with a bloody bullet wound? I had actually hit him with my eyes closed, aiming for the blue sky. I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable. Oh, now that poor sweet thing was flopping all over. I just felt horrible for him, and I was shaking all over myself, the two of us like these palsied cousins. I knew I'd have to put him out of his misery, but the thought of tearing up my shoulder again made me loath to do it. But I knew it was the right thing to do, so I went back in the trailer to reload, hoping he would die before I got back. Well, no such luck. I got sort of close to him, pointed the gun, and pulled the trigger, and well, I missed him. Now, where's the sense in that? I was 2 feet away with my eyes open. Goodness. And even though I had a bruise on my shoulder, the shape and size of Wyoming, I went back into the trailer, reloaded a third time, came back out, took aim, and fired. Well, finally, Mr. Squirrel, the poor little guy, was dead. 3's a charm, I guess. Meme shovels in 3 scoops of boiled dinner as if to prove her point. Rapid fire Roro finally gets her rodent. Roro is the nickname Meme's 6 foot something sons called her to taunt her. Her real name is Rose. Call me Roro again and I'll spank your bottom, young lady, she threatens with a smile. Well then, how about Dead-Eyed Dick, I offer. That I could live with, she says, making her hand into the shape of a gun and firing at me. I feign death. We laugh and push our chairs away from the table, our stomachs pooched out in contentment. Sticking faithfully to club rules, we split the leftovers in half, scoop them into green Tupperware, and put them in the mold-colored refrigerator. We sluggishly make our way to the yellow sofa. Meme pushes her knitting out of the way. I'm making that Afghan for Edna. Do you like it? I never like Afghans. I feel bad, and I can't really tell her, but she always uses acrylic yarn and insipid pastels or browns and oranges like the booze at Howard Johnson's. It's beautiful. Edna'll love it, I lie. But probably Edna, who is Meme's best friend, will love it. So it's only half a fib. Meme sits in the far right corner of the sofa, and I slide beside her, snuggling under her arm, my head resting on her breast. We flip through the National Enquirer. I want to read the stories, but Meme likes the pictures. "Aw," she lets out disgustedly when Roseanne Barr's face fills the page. She hates Roseanne Barr almost as much as Rodentia. I keep going, not wanting to get into the usual. I like Roseanne meme. Oh, she's vulgar. How could you? I didn't feel like trying to convince Meme for the millionth time of Roseanne's comedic worth. Then we come upon a picture of the Reagans. Great Grams just got a plaque from them for her 85th birthday. Signed, she declares, puffing up like a balloon. Oh, really? I rapidly turn the page. Meme guides my hand backwards and points to the Reagans. Ron and Nancy, she states as if they were childhood friends. She's got a gun too, Meme. Wonder if she's shot any pests lately. I cannot help picking the scab before it's healed. Now, don't you be fresh. That was the lie the Democrats made up about her because they are not good people and they're jealous of Ron's love and respect for her. He shoots back faster than you could kill a squirrel. She said it herself, Meme. She told us that she had a gun in her nightstand. Don't blame the Democrats because Nancy's an airhead. They just made it look like that. That dirty Ted Kennedy. The press just loves him despite all the evil he's done. And he probably got her to confess something that wasn't true by goading her and trapping her. Probably. I give up. I do not want to get into the whole Kennedy thing. They have such a big family, and once she gets going, we have to go through them all. We need a pencil, Meme, I say, staring us toward the crossword puzzle. That excites her more than usual. Oh, sweetheart, look what I got. She leans us forward and rummages around on the end table, a messy tray of crochet needles, Rolaids, and hard candies. She uses a white folded paper towel in place of a doily, having given us girls all her good linens. I don't want you girls fighting over them after I'm dead, Meme informed us as she held up each doily, antimacassar, and tablecloth for us to choose. I could imagine all 5 of us girls in a tug of war with family linens over Meme's open casket. Give me that! I wanted that! That's mine! Erasable pens, Meme says, by Bic. Did you ever use one of these, honey? I couldn't say that I had. I was so excited to find these. I can't see the pencil anymore, even with my glasses on, and I'm too dumb to do the pencil in straight ink. Aren't these perfect? I have to admit, they were. Okay, sweetheart, what's our first clue? Crossword puzzles are a perfect example of Meme's persuasive powers at getting you to do things her way. Her rule is that you have to do all the across and then all of the down. If I try to ask a down clue, she ignores me and asks, "What's 19 across, sweetie?" This method makes no sense to me whatsoever, and it makes the puzzle harder than it has to be. But I keep up with the whole across then down program until Meme gets tired enough and stops following the page. Then I gloriously mix my downs and acrosses with wild abandon. Fortunately, I'd recently weaned her off the crossword puzzle dictionary. If we didn't come up with an answer in 1 second, out came that damn dictionary and she found the answer lickety split. I convinced her that our brains would addle from disuse. That must have struck a chord in her because she stashed the dictionary under the couch and forgot about it. We didn't need the dictionary. Meme had an amazing knowledge of crossword puzzle jargon, a world I never knew existed until her. Fish, row, shad, printer's measure, ends. Oh, the list was endless, a hidden language of crossword puzzle makers and crossword puzzle solvers. Meme's eyes were starting to shut. Time for bed. Will you stay, love? She asked, eyes hopeful. Sure, I'd love to, I answered, even though I sleep far better in my own bed. I'll have to borrow Grandpa's chamois shirt again because I didn't bring any bedclothes. Of course, darling. You know where it is, she says, quickly shutting down the tiny trailer for the night. I opened the roll-away closet door in Meme's room, the smell of cedar and mothballs overtaking me. I love that smell. It's the smell of my history, of things saved to pass on as 3D memories. I hurry into Grandpa's shirt and turn on the electric blankets while Meme puts on her pink cotton nightie and plops her false teeth into a glass of effervescence. I'll brush those tomorrow, she lisps. I push the twin beds together and climb into the one on the right. Meme looks so old without her teeth. I hate it. It reminds me of what I so painfully think of every time I drive over here. This won't last forever. Our time together in the Vidalia Club is finite. She smiles at me, climbs into her bed, and picks up her Red Book magazine. I think of my grandpa who no longer sleeps in the room next to this one. She misses him, I know. Most likely it was worse at night, especially since it was so dark here in the boonies of Wells Branch without a close-by neighbor. He died the first summer of her retirement. She retired in the spring, and he died in August. How did you meet Grandpa? I ask. Oh, at the mill in Uxbridge. I worked with that son of a gun every day, but he wouldn't pay any attention to me. And one day I just threw a wooden bobbin at him and hit him in the head. He took notice then. Her voice drifts off. Her eyes are shut, but she still turns the pages of her magazine. The trailer smells like boiled dinner. Meme's lips puff out with her breath. She snores slightly. I lie here and try to memorize every minute of this. I take the magazine out of her hands, and she opens her eyes. Good night, my darling. I love you. And then she falls asleep without fear.
Mm. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So gorgeous.
Okay. I love you, Grandma.
Oh, it's so
Yes.
beautiful.
Sorry.
I miss her so much.
Yes, and you make it so clear why. It's so beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
just want to reiterate that this is from Unconditional, A Grandmother's Love and Last Days, which is the memoir that you've written, that Suze has written about her grandma. And
It-
yeah.
It's so funny to read that when I was going over it because the Roseanne Barr thing and Vidalias are available all year now. It's not as thrilling.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
they
yeah.
now all year? I didn't know
Yes,
that.
you just
Oh.
get them all the time,
Yeah.
it seems. But it was very special back then. But it was funny to
Yeah.
say, no, that was true then. Keep it, keep it.
Yes. Yes.
Without doing a side mouth comment, you know.
Right. Right.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Also, you know,
so
I
good.
neglected to mention the other thing that is so vivid in these pages is the place. You really take us to the space. The space comes alive in such a beautiful, rich way, you know? It's beautiful.
you.
Also, when you write about in the other spaces too, like the hospital and stuff like that too, it's the same
Thank
thing.
you,
It's like
Roland.
we feel like we can not only see it, but smell it. You know, it's great.
This piece is called Figures. Look out the window, darling. Do you see? I did not see. Not on the ground, sweetheart, hanging in the big pine straight ahead. Oh, yeah, now I see what you mean. Meme's breath expels as she pushes her permed head back against the plush beige recliner. I knew you would see, Susie. I knew you would. I struggle for the right question to ask, one that won't give me away, one that will make my grandmother reveal what it is we are looking at. Did you try to get Mom to see? I stab in the dark. She looked once, but she didn't see them, so I didn't ask her again. Between you and me, she and your dad think I'm losing my head. Meme's pupils dilate whenever she talks about losing her head. When did you first notice them? They came to the trailer out on the squirrel tree. I was feeding the birds, and there they were. I was scared of them then, but they never came closer to me than the trees. Don't they look charred or something? Are they burnt? Meme is leaning forward except for her head, which is tilted back to look through her bifocals. I don't think they're burnt, just black. I try to be an authority on something I can't see. Oh my, there she is. See her? See the lady? For some reason, she's never in the tree. That one, though, she just stares and stares at me. She's short like me, isn't she? Meme tests me. Just your height, Meme. She's brave, that one. Yesterday, she waltzed right up to the window. Does she look mean to you? I think she's just curious about you. Wants to get a better look is all. She spooks me a little. I cross over to draw the blinds. I think if you pull the shades, Meme, that'll signal them to leave you alone. She's too agitated by what she sees. I don't like it. I don't want to make them cross with me. Meme twirls her thumbs around and around one another. Oh, they won't be mad. You're just telling them you want some privacy. They understand that. That woman, she just showed up the other day like she owned the place. Why don't you come sit with me? I need you to warm me up. Meme smiles for the first time all morning. I tuck myself under her arm, and she pulls the Afghan over us. I'm not doing so good, darling. Shh, I mouth selfishly. The last time Meme had hallucinations was 1983. Hello, Strawberry Records and Tapes, Harvard Square. Mom? What's wrong? It's the middle of the day. Who died? No one's dead, honey, but your grandmother. Oh, God, a searing pain winches itself around my chest. A Harvard student holds out his money. I look at him in his Def Leppard album, wondering how he could possibly be buying bad rock and roll when my meme is 20 or so customers mill about in the background like Manson's gang. My grandmother what? Mom's voice is the definition of calm. Honey, she had a heart attack, but they've stabilized her. She's doing just fine now, but she needs bypass surgery. I'll come home. I'll just come home right now. Honey, you don't need to. Dr. Petrovich has her set up to go down there. What do you mean down here? She's going to have surgery at Tufts Medical School. I thought since you're there already that you could maybe be her primary care person. Mom has tossed me a lifeline, something to do. The Harvard student says, come on, I don't have all day. Neither do I reply and walk out of the store. I hated that job anyway. I try to screw my head on straight and listen to the doctor. He's going over the procedure. Meme is nervous. Her Johnny keeps gapping open in the back, and she slides her hand awkwardly over her shoulders to clasp it shut. I help her. I'm her safety pin. After we have pumped you full of fluids and sedated you a little bit, we'll wheel you down to the OR. Operating room? I say too loudly. Meme and the doctor look at me as if I said my first words. Right. Then we'll put you under general anesthesia and lower your body temperature. The operation is very stressful on your body. We like to get you functioning at your lowest possible level. I feel as though I'm doing that right now. I swallow the bile that comes up into my throat. Dr. Petrovich informs us that he will saw through Meme's breastbone like she's a tiny game hen. Saw? I ask. Like a carpenter saws? Yes, sort of like that, only a much smaller saw. We all laugh at the butcher's, doctor's funny joke. You'll have quite a scar, the doctor informs Meme. She doesn't look at all like any of this will be happening to her. And I can't stop the throbbing in my chest where her scar will be. There are many other unpleasantries to listen to. Veins stripped from Meme's leg to replace the clogged ones in her heart, some sort of stapling that will close up the enormous incision on her leg. I think I read somewhere that carpenters moonlighted as doctors in the Middle Ages. Saws and staples. Heck, my dad could just open her up in his workshop. Close her, too. I realize I am avoiding my duties. I close Meme's Johnny tighter. She wriggles uncomfortably. Oh, too tight. The doctor stops talking. Meme looks at me. Any questions, Mrs. Bucher? How long is the surgery? I ask for her. My first intelligent question. It depends. Could take anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. Meme and I hold hands. On the day of the surgery, I'm driving my mother to Boston from Maine. Traffic is unbelievable. My mother flinches every time I change lanes. Mom, will you please stop that? You are making me nervous. Well, you're making me nervous. Couldn't you just pick a lane? Well, not if you want to get to the hospital on time. That shuts her up. I'm petrified we aren't going to make it to see Meme before they wheel her to the OR. Our bickering juts out of knowing that if we don't see Meme now, we might never see her again. At 5 to 11, I wheel into long-term parking, 5 minutes before the scheduled time. Mom and I sprint across the lot and into the hospital, dodging interns as we go. There she is, I shout. Meme cuts a fine figure. Pumped full of fluids and denture-free, she lolls forward on the gurney, slurring, "Oh, there they are! That's my daughter, my baby, and my granddaughter. See, I said they'd come. Aren't they pretty?" Woo, whatever they've given her, I want. She said, "Get my wedding rings from the man. Don't I look fat? I'm so puffy." Meme is trying to lift up her Johnny. You look great, Mom. You'll do fine. You come out of that operation. You hear me? I'm not done with you yet. My mother holds her jaw like a vice grip while she tries to keep Meme from flashing the whole ward. I slip Meme's rings on my finger and hold her face in my hands. We're counting on you. We'll see you in 6 hours. You hear? I love you. I love you. Oh, if I was a couple years younger. Meme looks up at her driver adoringly as he whisks her away. As Mom and I make our way to the waiting room, I watch a doctor tell a family some bad news. The family falls over itself in despair. It can go either way, I tell myself. 2 hours slip into 4. My Aunt Elaine shows up. She and Mom hug for a long time. 4 into 5 into 6 into 10. The world has spent nearly a day without us. Meme's surgeon removes his fetching cap as he walks toward us. The baggies on his feet are spattered with blood. It can go either way, I remind myself as I find my legs. She made it. She's in the ICU recovery. You're welcome to go see her, but let me just warn you, she looks pretty beat up. We follow him, a soft train of women, thanking God, thanking God, thanking God. The doctor's warning does not stop my stomach from lurching toward my mouth. Gory details and scents around. Spinningly, I search for some part of Meme that looks regular. Not her hands, black with bruises and full of fluid. Not her chest with the fresh sewn wound. Not her hair tinted with blood. Not her eyes wild with pain. Not her eyes that don't flash with recognition. The tube in Meme's throat is so fat, I choke on it. We're going to remove that tube, if you'll excuse us for a minute. Thank God it's killing me, I muttered to no one in particular. Mom and Aunt Elaine watched the procedure while I tried to rest my eyes on something uncut. Lon, where's your father? Meme's hoarse whisper breaks our hearts. He'll be by pretty soon, Mom. Grandpa had been dead for 10 years. Oh, look, it's Chucky Howell. Meme points painfully toward a small step stool with a blanket on top. I start church laughing. Meme is angry with me. I keep laughing. Mom nods her head towards the door. I am bent over Meme's bed with tears streaming down my face. But Chucky Howell is 6 feet tall, I explained. He's not a baby anymore. He couldn't be on that stool. I am practically gagging. I'm laughing so hard. No one else is laughing. I hold my sides and head out of the ICU to look for my grandfather. When they move Meme out of the ICU into her own room, the hallucinations keep coming. Scores of residents accompany Meme's doctor on his rounds. Meme picks one out of the crowd. Hey, it's Joe Cupo. It's our weatherman, Channel 6. Hi, Joe, she says, keeping track of the cold fronts. Mostly her forays into the non-present aren't so funny. Eva, poor little Eva. Come here, darling. I'll hold you now. You mustn't die. You're the pretty one. Meme cradles her pillow as if it's her little sister who died from typhoid fever 50 years ago. And then there is the constant question. Where's Lon? Where's your father? Where's your grandfather? Why won't he come to visit? We stare at her blankly. One day she pulls me in close and whispers, I wonder how it'll be now without my woman's parts. They took everything out. Will Lon still care for me? I don't know who she thinks I am. Meme's doctor finally figures out that she's reacting badly to her heart medication. One switched, her hallucinations go away. The drug-induced ones anyway. Open the shades, darling. I want to see if they stayed. I pull at the forest green shade, hoping the burnt people will be gone. Oh, she's a rascal, getting so close to my window. Isn't she the feisty one? Do you think she looks like me? She does a little. Except that you are light, Meme. You are light itself. Oh, honey. I believe in the angel of death. My grandmother and I watch her outside the window, hovering, waiting. I pull the shade to buy some time. Meme holds my eyes with her. Are you scared? I ask. Not too bad, darling.